Okay, we're going to talk tonight. I'm Richard Homer from Homer's Honeybee in Supply. We're going to talk about how to wrap your hive up for the winter time with some tar paper. What's important on a hive during the winter time is to put on an insulated top. So we call it the bee beanie. When I was a scoutmaster, we used to teach our kids that 90% of your body heat left through your head, and it's the same thing in a hive. That's where most of the heat escapes from the hive, is out of the top. So as we put this together and prepare this hive for winter, we're going to put our bee beanie on to insulate the top of the hive. That's really all the insulation you need here in Utah. The tar paper does a couple things. It kind of seals it off so there's no cracks and things, which the bees do on their own anyway, but it makes me feel better putting it on. It puts a black paper on that will absorb a little heat and help warm the hive when the sunny days in the winter time. It'll also act as a wind barrier, so there'll be an extra layer space between so the wind isn't going to suck the heat out of the sides of the hive during the winter time. Plus it protects the hive from the weather that's going to be going on. You'll notice this hive already has a entrance reducer in. This is something that should be put in back in August, end of August, end of August, after you pull your honey off. That's to keep the wasps from getting into your hive. Everybody thinks that wasps kill hives, but it's actually other bees. If you've got wasps getting in your hive, you've got bees from other hives as well, so that's a way to keep them in. So that's already on. We're going to put this on real simply. This is an 8-foot piece of 3-foot tar paper, 15 pound. You can do 30 pound if you want. It's just a lot heavier. You're going to take your outer cover off, and you have your inner cover, and we're going to replace the inner cover with our bee beanie. You want to put the bee beanie on with the riser on the bottom, with the little entrance on the bottom as well. So it's going to go on like this, and then we're going to put the outer cover over the top of that. But we're going to do that last after we put the paper on. So I take this, have a staple gun, and I want to put it above. So on the front here, there's the entrance, the 3/4 inch entrance in the front, and these are the risers for the entrance. I want to put the paper so it's above those risers. So when I come around, it'll leave the entrance open. Now I just kind of work my way around, stapling it down along the bottom. Pulling it tight as I go and leveling it up so that it couple staples as you go. You don't need to put a lot of staples, because the more staples you put in, the more you're going to have to take out in the spring. So I just wrap this around and come across the front. And actually I didn't need quite all of this, but and then I take my scissors and I cut off a little extra here, so I got a little longer than I wanted. And then I'm going to take these. This is also a little long on the top too, so I'm going to come over here and cut off about 6 inches. If you have 3 boxes you're taking to winter, you can use all of it. You don't have to cut any off, but the 2 boxes, and which is what I recommend, you're going to cut off 6 inches or so. And then what I do is I want to take these corners, and I want to cut the corners down to the bee beanie. And then I want to cut the edges down just past the bee beanie, so it's just down past it. So in the winter time, I can peel the top back and get underneath the bee beanie and put my fondant patty in if I have to add any during the winter time. See, as you can see here, I've got this so I can fold this back and I can get down to the bottom of the bee beanie to get it off during the winter. So, so what I'm going to do now is just fold this over, fold this down, fold that down, fold the corners down like that, and then my outer cover on, and I'm done. You want to tack this edge down so that the wind doesn't get a hold of it and tear it, because that's where it'll start to tear out if it does. But the top's all folded down, so it's all good. The only other thing I have to do, I forgot about here, is the top entrance. Top entrances are, in my view, very, very important in the hive. They produce quite a bit of moisture and they need to have some way to vent that out. So here where this top entrance is in the front, I peel this down and I just cut a little hole like that, and again I put that down, put this back on, and your top entrance is still there, and then I kind of tack this close down, and that kind of acts as a little landing pad for them. They can come out, come in and out of the hive during the winter time. So pretty simple to do. It's not, doesn't take, you don't want to put a lot of staples in. They just have to pull them all out, and it puts holes in your woodware. But it works. It protects it, helps heat it up a little bit, and also acts as a wind barrier to keep the wind from sucking the heat out of the hive, out of the sides. Inside the hive, the bees have placed honey on the outside edges as kind of a natural insulation to protect the cluster in the center. Bees don't die from cold weather; they die from not having enough bees. And usually what causes the decline of bee population is mites in the fall. So mite preparation is really important, which we'll have another video that talks about that. But that happens at the end of August, 1st of September. That's really important to do. This you're going to be putting on in Utah anyway, somewhere between the 1st to the end of November, depending on when it starts to get really cold. I like to see most nights getting into the 30s at night, and in the 50s, and maybe as high as 55, 60 during the day. That's a good time to put this on. I also will usually put a fondant patty in. Usually when I'm wrapping these up, I'll put one in there. That's my insurance policy to make sure that the bees don't run out of honey. If I've done my job, they will probably not eat very much of it until we get into March. So anyway, that's what we do to wrap up our hive and prepare it for winter.